Hey, yo, what's the deal? This your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 3:11 p.m. Now, I mean, it's still May 29, 2025. And I wasn't going to make this video now. I was not. But I feel like I should, you know, I want to put people's minds at ease. Okay? I definitely want to put people's minds at ease because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of discourse in the Twitter atmosphere, right? Especially when it comes down to one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes down to Vince, right? And so there was a report. First and foremost, Jonathan Coachman said this originally, right? And now Kevin Featherstone, Dr. Chris Featherstone. I was going to say Kevin Featherstone. Dr. Chris Featherstone, who's kind of lost in credibility. You know, he definitely lost some steam. He was breaking some news, and then he just fell under the deep end. You know what I mean? Him and Coach had mentioned something interesting that I just laughed at. I completely laughed. And you see the title. You see the title of this video, right? This will happen whenever 50 and Ja kill their beef. Whenever 50 Cent and Ja will kill their beef. You know what I'm saying? So apparently, right, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, is interested in buying back WWE. You know what's funny? As I read this, the first thing that popped into my mind was, you know, that joint from Christopher Williams. But y'all remember Christopher Williams, right? You know, all my OGs know, y'all know Christopher Williams, right? The light-skinned dude from New Jack City, the one who decided to work with Nino Brown with the computers and shit, right? But he was also a good singer. He had a great fucking song. Remember, he had that joint, "Don't Wake Me, I'm Dreaming." Remember that shit? That's the first thing I thought about when I read this report. Vince is smoking. He's smoking some good shit. You know, shout to, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this shit, but I got to give credit where credit's due. Shout out to Sean Ross Sapp, because he actually told the truth on this shit. You know, he said that, number one, Vince can't afford it. He can't afford to buy back WWE. Vince doesn't have the funds to buy back the company. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the funds at all. Right? Vince, you know, I thought there was a rumor that, you know, Vince was talking about starting his own wrestling company. You know, what happened to that? Or his own entertainment company. What happened to that? Right? What happened to that? Right? That's number one. Oh yeah, I'm shaving, by the way, too. So if you hear like water and stuff, it's me, you know, it's me shaving and such. Number two, why the fuck with TKO, who basically, TKO Endeavor, who basically kicked Vince out after all these allegations happened, will want to sell back the company. That company, WWE, is making bread for them. Why the fuck would they even consider doing that? You know what I mean? Why the fuck would they even consider buying WWE back to Vince? Why? It's like Vince can't let shit go. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon cannot let a fucking thing go. Like, yo, your ass is out the wrestling business. It's over. Like, just let it go. Like, your ass is done. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, TKO Endeavor invested so much shit in WWE, right? That, you know, it's impossible to even think that they would even want to sell the shit, even let alone selling the company to The Rock. Like, come on, man. You know, that's definitely not happening, right? And number three, there's still a lawsuit. There's still a fucking lawsuit pending with fucking Vince. Shit, fucking Johnny Unitas. Johnny Laurinaitis. Listen, Johnny Unitas was one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Now, I mean, what he did to the Baltimore/Indianapolis Colts is shit. Like, come on, man. But, you know, Johnny Laurinaitis is, you know, cooperating and basically, you know, telling the courts and telling attorneys and shit, telling officials and federal officials what he know about Vince, right? And what the fuck Vince has done, right? This whole Janelle Grant thing. right? This whole Janelle Grant case. You think that, you know, they will sell to, especially now that TKO invested a lot of, you know, ads and advertisements onto WWE programming and such, that they're going to want to fuck this up by selling the company back to Vince? You got to be out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't want Vince before. You know, like, they played the shit out of Vince. Ari Emanuel played the shit out of Vince. So why the fuck? My thing is, why the fuck would Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro would even sniff the idea of wanting to sell this, you know, wanting to sell WWE back to Vince when it's making them a ton of fucking money? That makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. You know what I mean? The wrestlers are a lot more lucid. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And then I also heard a rumor. Someone, and again, this is Jonathan Coachman. I don't know. I don't know if, you know, if Coachman is not reliable. And so now you're starting to think about, like, with, you know, with Jonathan Coachman, and it's just like, like, he's not a bad dude, but this is what he thinks, right? When it comes down to AEW, he tells the truth. But when it comes down to WWE, he has absolutely no fucking idea what he's talking about. Hold on, guys. I'm just getting a mirror. I'm getting a mirror. You know, this might have been from him, where, you know, Vince doesn't like, you know, the current WWE product. Good. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Who cares? You know what I mean? Who gives a fuck? Nobody cares what you think, nigga. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a fuck. You know, like, stay the fuck far away. You know, I'm here to tell y'all, like, he's never coming back to WWE ever the fuck again. Never. You know what I'm saying? Like, TKO don't want him. You know, like, a lot of people don't want him. A lot. You know, Vince has no power. He has absolutely no fucking power whatsoever. He has none. He absolutely has none. You know who wants Vince to come back? You know, I'll tell you exactly who wants Vince to come back. The AEW sickos. They're the only ones who want Vince to come back. Why? Because, you know, when Vince was around, that's when AEW had, you know, an iron fist on the wrestling industry. Now that he's gone, and knowing that he's never coming back, now they can't take that fact. You know what I mean? They clearly can't take the fact that Vince, you know, that Vince no longer runs the company. You know what I mean? And everybody is more than happy. Like, this is a whole different company. You know what I mean? Like, WWE is doing shit. Mostly TKO is doing shit that Vince would have never done. And TKO did their business. Like, you know, they did their business about pro wrestling. They did their business. You know what I mean? They you know, they learned. You know, they took the time to learn about what pro wrestling needs and such. You know what I mean? And people can get mad at TKO all they want, right? But, you know, TKO has been a great asset for WWE because it's making money. You know what I mean? TKO is definitely making money for WWE. The wrestlers seem a lot more elusive, right? And it's just a whole different atmosphere compared to how it was when Vince was there, right? And WWE is still a hot ticket. Even though, like, yes, they slowed down a bit, they're still a hot fucking ticket. Now, I mean, they're still a hot fucking ticket. And, you know, you can't get mad at that. You know, but to sit there and say that, you know, Vince wants to buy WWE, good luck. Good luck. I'll tell you this. If Jeffrey Atkins and Curtis Jackson kill their beef, which is never happening, you know what I mean? Because that's not even a rap beef. That's a hatred, B. You know what I mean? That's a hatred. Like, you know, Murder Inc., and it's just mostly Irv Gotti, you know, with his association with Supreme, right? And that's a whole different layer. Was the reason why 50 got shot 9 fucking times. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. It was mostly with Preem that 50 had beef with, but Preem, you know, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but Preem, you know, Preem was rolling with Irv Gotti and shit. And look what happened to Irv Gotti. No, look what happened to Irv Gotti. Look what happened to Murder Inc. You know what I mean? Look what happened to, you know, to just everybody. Look, I like Murder Inc. You know what I mean? Somewhat. I fuck with Vita. You know what I mean? Of course, Ashanti. I love Ashanti. You know what I mean? But other than that, like, there was nothing in Murder Inc. that made me go, oh, man. I mean, they even tried to get Nas at one point. Like, Nas wasn't going to take a step backwards to Ja Rule. Fuck out of here. But, again, let me go. I'm going off on a tangent. Whenever that beef gets killed, that's when Vince will come in to buy WWE. And let's keep it a buck, man. What the fuck can Vince do for pro wrestling in 2025? Huh? What the fuck can he do? Huh? What the fuck can he do? WWE in this era, early in the era, seen the worst that it's seen under Vince. The worst. The worst. You should think, people get mad about TKO and such. You should be happy that TKO is there. Why? Because, they're learning more and more and more about how pro wrestling works. They're learning, they got great people there and such, who knows about the business. So they're also learning. They're learning, and not only that, but also they're learning about how the wrestling business works in general. You know what I mean? Not only wrestling, but the business. You know what I mean? So you got to think about that. But Vince ain't never buying WWE. He's never coming back to WWE. Ever again. Remember that joint from Jay-Z? Oh man, the fucking, the joint, I forgot what it was. Yeah, I had to look it up because I'm like, I forgot about that record. And, it was Friend or Foe. Remember in the video, you know what I mean? He robbed the person, you know what I mean, in the hotel. No, she ever come back no more. That's what the fuck WWE did with Vince. It's over. It's over. Let it go. You know what I mean? Like, listen, you had your run. It's a wrap. Just get the fuck out the wrestling business. And that's it. He might be going to prison. Listen, especially with, John Laurinaitis. We don't know what the fuck John Laurinaitis is going to say. Nobody does. I mean, nobody does. But I'm here to tell y'all that Vince ain't coming back. I'm about to be out. I will be making one more video tonight. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of shit I have to take care of. You know what I mean? So I'm going to definitely holler at y'all. Peace.